fall out of the door.
Hi.
Oh my goodness.
Step over, Sam. Close the door so she doesn't leave. Hello. Hi. I'm seeing her for the very first time. Oh my goodness.
What is just with those crusty eyes? Look, can I see your teeth? Look. She's a baby.
So according to those teeth, you're not full grown yet. No, you're not.
What was a nice girl like you doing in New York City at a slaughter facility?
Let me see what this tag does. Yeah. Yes. And she's got some blue. Oh. Yeah, so, hi. This is my first time. We've just met, and I think it's a match. So I think we'll be together for a very long time. So this is our beautiful new girl from New York City, Alonda. You are gorgeous.
You got some overgrown feet.
But she is a baby. That's why I was looking at her mouth. I don't normally look in people's mouths, but she has all baby teeth. So, and she's so skinny, and this is what it always throws me off as to why anyone would see her and be like, you know what would be great? Let's use this skinny animal for something hideous. Say no. And she has a mark on her back. And a lot of this, these are paint markers. Paint markers are used. There's a variety of reasons. Like if somebody's pregnant, they mark them. If somebody's going to be taken out, like if there's a herd of goats and they're pulling certain ones, they just mark them with the marker. And this is glue on her back. And that's usually because they put a number sticker on, so it probably fell off. What are you doing? And then that is a USDA ear tag. So she came in from New York City live markets. She has some diarrhea on her bottom. Don't worry, it doesn't bother me at all. And so we have a lot of work. She's got a little sticky hair, so we're gonna have to keep an eye. This is me just doing what I do when someone comes in. You smell kind of strong too. She smells very dirty. I'm looking for lice in all the wrong places. So anyway, yay, she's here, and we're very, very happy. And and she has, did you hear that? So she also has a little pneumonia going on, it sounds like, which is not unusual. A lot of the animals, the live markets are tough because in the last, I think it was 3 days or 4 days, 5 animals escaped, and they're not even counting the chickens we took in. So just like less than a week ago on Saturday, I picked up chickens in New York City that were dropped off in a box. It's a never-ending process. And each animal, depending on who they are, gets a lot more media attention. I think cows, of course, because they're so big and it seems so strange, and they cause much more of a ruckus than the goats. But she's looking at her. This is not an energetic goat. For her age, she should be springing around and bouncing. The fact that her lungs sound so wet. We're getting you on antibiotics tonight. I'll have our vet come out and do an ultrasound. Her urine's very dark, so she's concentrating her urine. So there's a lot going on with her. And I just came in because I had a migraine all morning. But I'm here. And so we're here together.
I had a migraine and you don't look 100%.
Yes.
We had a question asking if these live markets are actually legal.
Yes, live markets are legal. So it's a live slaughter facility. Not only are they legal, they're quite popular. And this animal is clearly sick. Like she's not bright. She's okay. I mean, she's itchy. There's probably a reason for that. We're looking into that. Like this is an itchy animal, and just so you know, there's some eggs on here. And I am seeing, which is, I was told you did not have lice. But she does. So she has lice, and I think part of it is a lot of times they don't know where to look for the bugs on these guys. But you can see how itchy she is. That's what she's doing. So she needs to be treated for lice. Lice are species specific. Not that I would care if I got lice from you because you're just so pretty. And she's got, you can see very crusty eyes, like with a lot of goo. I am just here to make you the most beautiful goat in the world. And she's just so docile. The live markets are a place, and it's funny because I just actually did an interview with a reporter who was talking about the live markets. And I was saying, most of the animals we get out of the live markets are sick. We get them with mycoplasma pneumonias. We get them with, the goats especially, and the sheep come in with CAE. She's got a big abscess here. And so those are both conditions. One is caseous lymphadenitis, and caseous lymphadenitis actually is pus-filled lymph nodes. And we get that all the time from the live markets. And usually the live market, she is, for a baby, she is completely lethargic. I was not expecting this. She's sweet, but she's very thin, and she's not perky. If you've ever seen one of our baby goats, they're bouncing off the walls, because at 6 months, they're just like, they're babies. But just a baby. So she will be, I'm giving her 1 month until she's springing off of everything. I'm giving you a month. She's been dehorned. We do not dehorn our goats. And you can see that hurts all by itself. So dehorned goats get what's called a scur that comes back, and they get nerve pain. If you've ever seen our sheep barn, we have a lot of goats that came in dehorned there, and they'll play butt, and like the scur falls off and blood goes down their head. It's just it's like nerve endings in those horns. But the biggest issue with goats, unlike like a lot of the cow breeds that we have now, have been bred down and bred down and bred down. They're not like the original cows that have these giant, thick, beastie horns. They're like Holsteins with little horns. So they don't have the same issues when you take the horns. When you take the horns of a goat, they can't always thermoregulate. Like their horns are used for thermoregulation, for fighting off mean goats, for scratching our backs.
So why will people dehorn?
Well, this is what we were trying to figure out. So dehorning, and it's kind of crazy, so if you ever want to write a letter to anybody, here's a good one. For a kid, and I don't like FFA or 4-H, but kids who show goats in those programs, in most states that I know of, you have to dehorn the goat, or you can't show them, because people think the horns are dangerous. I have been with, I don't know, probably 10,000 goats in my lifetime. I'm just like trying to count them in my head. I've been with thousands and thousands of goats, and horns or no horns, if they want to hurt you, they're going to, and if they don't. And even if, I've never had an animal with, I've just never had, yeah, she's really lethargic. I've just never had anyone with horns, any goat with horns, cause any more damage than anybody else. And that's another thing that we were talking about. We talk about this all the time. Every one of our herds, we won't put her in a herd where she's going to get picked on by a bunch of goats with horns. We won't. If we put her anywhere, she'll go in a place where nobody's going to pick on her. I know you're itchy. We're going to deal with that today. So you can't, like, even at a rescue, you can't just be like, all goats live together. They don't always get along, and that's fine. But don't put them together and have them get hurt, because even when everybody's getting along, sometimes something snaps. Like right now, we had a sheep that got really injured. She had a dislocated hip, and she's recovering now. Ooh, cough and sleepiness. But she's recovering now from the dislocation. She's in our special needs sheep flock now. But she was perfect up until the day when one of the goats, who now we've moved those goats out of the sheep area, just decided to like wail on her a couple times, and he knocked her hip out of joint. And so and part of it is, it's like cabin fever, just like kids, they haven't been outside a lot because the weather's been bad. So we're always watching to make sure that somebody's not just being relentlessly picked on, and we stop that from happening.
Like your brothers who came from New York City would not be good candidates for brothers for you because they're rough.
And right now she's docile. She, just so you know, she reminds me almost identically of Layla, except Layla had horns. And Layla was very docile and very sick when she came in. Oh God, she's itchy. So back to the live markets though. The live markets are a place where they bring in like whole truckfuls of sheep, they bring in goats, they bring in, and like there's been so many, because I think now there's more of a movement towards people filming them, kind of bearing witness to what they see. There's video after video after video of these animals that have been like trampled by other animals, because you're talking about animals that you're taking from a farm or a place outside, and that's what you've done, and you stick them in a truck and you drive them into New York City of all places. And the smells and the sounds, and the trip can be really long. And I didn't really look closely enough at this tag to see what state you're from. Does not say.
Sorry, at Hutch. We'll take care of that too.
The tag's pretty fresh as well. So basically she probably got taken from her family, tag in the ear, thrown in a truck, ended up in New York City.
How far can they take them?
Well, we've got ear tags as far as Texas in New York City. So, and the thing that's really funny is, again, going back to the reporter, she was just assuming that, because I was talking about how every time they come they're sick, and she was assuming that because they're being used for food, they can't be sick. And she has lice, my friends, she has lice.
Yes, you do. That is a meth down there. And she has a lot of sticky poop down there. Oh, you poor thing.
And she has pneumonia, and you know, we haven't tested her yet. We're going to do blood work on her to see if she has CL and CAD, the two diseases I was just talking about. Because again, these animals, like if you've seen factory farming, you've seen any kind of farming where you're showing the animals that are going, you know, to slaughter facilities, they're not in good shape. And I think that people assume, just like the farm to table kind of operations and all of those places, that the animals are somehow going to be miraculously really into what's happening and happy and in good shape, and they're not. And they know, because these are animals that survive completely on instinct, they know that, you know, they're prey animals. So they know when there's fear with other animals, they smell blood, they're going into a slaughter facility, and they're smelling all these things and hearing all these sounds. And, you know, a lot of times they're actually in that same facility with their own family members, because herds also travel together. So if somebody's selling to the live market, they're not usually selling one goat, they're selling like 20 goats from a herd. And so, oh, I just rubbed on something that feels like scabs. That's the dream. But they get lots of things like ORF and ORFL. It's inevitable, really, because when you come out,
all those viruses pop out of nowhere. They do.
So anyway, we're gonna have a lot of work, and she doesn't feel good, and she is very sweet. And we always wonder too, especially with the dehorning, but also because she's so nice, did she come from like a 4-H group or something like that, or FFA, and a place where she was treated really well at one point in her life before she was sent out? Because one of the things that usually happens, and it might just be because she's not feeling well, but one of the things that we see usually happen with these animals, the live market animals are almost always the most frightened. We've had them smash into these walls and bludgeon themselves, like till their head's bleeding, to get away from us. We have another pen that has a window where we have to put like metal bars over the window when we get them, because they're so panicked that they're smashing into stuff. And she's not. She's very happy, very itchy, very happy, but she has a nice smell to her, but she clearly has lice. She just had a really wet cough. She's very dull acting for being a baby. She's got little teeny baby teeth. So I think we have a lot of work ahead of us. Look at where you've given yourself cowlicks in your body, let it cow. So we're really glad she's here though. And here she'll get round-the-clock attention. We'll make sure she's okay. We'll start her on antibiotics. I will definitely delouse her. And you know, I'll actually probably just give her Ivomec. And we have to take a fecal on her, and again, she had diarrhea at one point too, because her tail has diarrhea all over it.
And we did have a question about like what can we do to help stop the itching for her?
Oh, well, I'm going to do it immediately after we get off this, because I'm not going to give a shot to this goat in front of all of you. Because I'm going to give her Ivomec injectable, and that usually knocks them out pretty quickly. And like, because she's got like lung sounds, I'm not going to like give her like the dust that you can put on them, because I don't want her breathing it in. It'll make a mess and you'll have problems. But that should knock everything out pretty quickly. And I think there's a lot of brushing that could be done. She's like, I know some interns who would like to brush me.
The Daily Squeal family is sending their love and well wishes for her.
Oh, thank you. The Daily Squeal. Oh, and Tracy, Violet, and Maggie picked you up. Those are your people. So she already has people. And they fell in love with her instantly, and you can't blame them. You definitely can't blame them. And that's the other thing we're going to talk about too. I was going to tell you about with the pneumonia that she has. Even if, like, she went to the live market perfectly healthy, which I don't think she did in this case, just from all the things that are happening. Transport for these animals is extremely stressful, especially if they're in a trailer full of other animals that are very stressed. Would you like? Let me get you some hay. Excuse me, Sam. This is some of the nicest hay in the world. What do you think? Let's get it away from your poop. Look at this. It's green and delicious. She's like, I agree.
Nancy's asking if you are a pet.
I am not a vet, Nancy, but I play one on this television show. No, I'm not a vet, but I've been working with farm animals for 27 years, which makes me older. She's like, 27 years? I'm not even 27 weeks. So yeah, I've been doing this for a really long time. And one of the things that we've learned just being here and doing this, because Farm Sanctuary has been doing this for 33 years, and so we do treatments and things that were never done ever before with farm animals. We've kind of paved the way for farm animals to get the care that they deserve. Because again, like if you have a sick goat and it's going to cost a lot to treat that goat, they usually get sent to slaughter, which may be the case in the laundry here. Wait.
Look, I don't know, maybe. Yeah. So I don't feel good, not even a little.
So we have to just make sure now that she gets healthy. And that may require a little, it doesn't require that much money, but because these animals are sold for such a little amount of money, like, I mean, clearly, to us, this is a priceless, yeah, she's got bad lice. That's why she's got that big sore on her neck. So to us, they're priceless. They're part of the family. They're everything to us. And she's going to quickly, I mean, I just met her and no one's touching her. She's going to have a great life. You're going to have a very good life. But when an animal or any being, their value is based on a monetary value, they are not given the treatment that they need to be given. Like this beautiful girl should have been treated like gold, just like your color, gold. And she wasn't. She was treated like a product and not a very valued product. And so that is the problem with all of the animal industry. I mean, and again, like this is a typical and actually much healthier than a very large number of the animals we get from the live markets. So their health and well-being is not first and foremost. It's definitely not. It's what they can make profit from.
So Wendy's asking about live markets in general. Like, why are they so popular, and who would actually shop there?
Well, it depends. I mean, some of them have specific things like halal slaughter, like certain types of slaughter. And again, this is not, because I don't want this to turn into something that's like about race or about religion or about anything, because everybody's eating animals in every religion. But there's certain types of places where, I mean, obviously, most people in America don't eat goats. Those markets exist because there's a population who are going to buy from those markets. But you have to remember that all the people that are not buying from those markets are just buying from somewhere else. It's no worse what happens to them than what happens in every slaughterhouse. It's just that I think there is an idea, just like with farm to table, that if you've seen the animal alive or the animal has a different life, that everything is just hunky-dory, and it's not. Because not only is slaughter a horrific part of, it's not a good ending. It's not like, just passing away from a heart attack or anything that could possibly happen. It's a horrific ending for them. But in the live markets, I think it just seems so much worse for a couple reasons. One, they're right there. Like there's somebody doing it right in front of the other animals, but that happens in the slaughter facilities too. But they're right in New York City. And people probably walk by them all the time and don't realize. They're just called like poultry markets, or they don't say like live slaughter usually on them. And people come in and they say like they want a goat or a sheep, or they'll pick out a chicken, or they'll, whatever animal it is that they're coming in to get, and the animal's slaughtered right there on site. And again, this is an animal, she's so itchy. This is an animal who probably came in with family. Like she could have a sibling that was in there, or her mother could be in there, or the father could be in there. Anybody in her, like her cousins could be in there, because usually people that are raising these animals for meat aren't just raising one. So most likely, no matter where she originally came from, she was with a group that was now considered, in her mind, her own group, her own flock. And so she was also separated from them. And I can't even tell you like how lucky we are to have a place like the ACNC, but also to have like these really, everybody gets really mad, I think, at the police officers, because every once in a while something gets screwed up. Because like an animal gets overdosed, or something like that happens when a cow's running and everybody's like shooting tranquilizers at them because they're trying to keep people from getting killed. It's really not their fault. It's the fault is the system that thinks it's okay for these animals to be in New York City and to be slaughtered. That's the bottom line, that's the problem. So until we change that, all these little players are not the issue. And we are very, very lucky that there were construction workers that, oh my goodness, that she showed up. Don't worry, I'm not a traitor. There were construction workers that she went to, and that they, I know,
And that they saved you. And now you've got to get rid of this pneumonia. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Do you want to talk more about like animals like Alondra, how they have such a strong will to live, and like some of the other rescues that have come through the ACNC and what their lives become when they get here?
Well, it's tiring.
She hates the story. So all animals have a will to live. And some animals, I'm surprised when someone's this sick, I'm always wondering if they've like pushed them off to the side and they just like kind of wanders aimlessly out. Elliot that came in is one of the ones that I always think of because he was so sick that when he stood, he just hung his head down and he had just discharge from his nose and his eyes, and he smelled horrible, and he had like some of the worst pneumonia I've ever seen, and we were actually told there was a good chance he wouldn't make it, and he's been here now for like 8 years or 9 years or something. But there's no way that he escaped. Like, he didn't jump. Something must have happened where he was and maybe that's why she has a red mark. I mean, the red mark could mean that she's sick. I mean, there's lots of reasons for those marks. Every time we get a sick animal in from even a factory farm that, somebody's brought in, they have a mark on them because they've been in a sick area or a sick bay or whatever, and they don't want them with other animals. So she might have been separated and just wandered. But the beautiful thing is she wandered into with contractors, and instead of sending her back to die, they saved her. And if everybody did that, if every time that somebody needed you and came to you and you didn't just turn them away, I mean, that's why she's alive, and we're very, very lucky. And then they took her to the ACNC, and that's a very good place to go when you're a sick goat wandering around in New York City.
Yes, it is.
And then thankfully, Tracy and Violet and Maggie live really, really close. And so we had actually gone in because we had heard about the cow that escaped, and we were like, oh, we'll go try to rescue the cow. And then,
yes, somebody's out there.
And then we turned around because we found out that was already handled. We didn't need to. And so once we did that, we got a call that there was a goat. So we turned back around. And so Tracy and Violet and Maggie turned around, came back and got you, brought you here. She has seen a vet. I think that a couple of things were missed, which is not unusual. We'll deal with it. And we're just going to make sure that she's healthy and happy from this point on.
And not so itchy. Definitely not so itchy.
There are a couple of concerns that, since she is itching, they want us to stop the video so we can treat her.
We will treat her. We are actually going to stop the video because I want to give her a shot as well. Stop the video. The lice are crawling everywhere. I'm actually itchy too, but again, it's species specifics. No, we're going to treat her right away, and we have to do everything very carefully because right now she's very sick. So we don't want to do one thing, again, I said I didn't want to dust her, and that's what would definitely take the itching out, but she can't breathe in that dust if she has pneumonia. So we're going to have to do a couple things to make her feel better. I think the itching is not even close to being the biggest concern. The biggest concern are the lungs. They can die from pneumonia pretty quickly if it's not treated right away. You chewing your cud? There it goes. Did you see that? That was pretty awesome. So she is eating, and that is fantastic. You're eating and drinking. And we are going to start treating her right away. And yes,
tell them thank you for tuning in. Say thank you so much for tuning in while I chew my cud.
Their little curled ears. And we'll come back. We'll come back in a week and see how we're doing. And hopefully by next week, if everything goes well, the pneumonia will be gone. It's so funny because if you remember last time we were on, you saw Pippi, and Pippi was coughing and had really wet lung sounds. And Pippi yesterday was out running and playing and didn't even get winded at all. So it's just a matter of getting the treatment started and letting her get a nice recovery time. It won't take very long. And then next time you see her, she'll be a lot better. Maybe I can get that red paint off you too. Thank you for tuning in, and thank everyone who watched as she got rescued, and we're rooting for you. And yeah, and remember that there are live markets. If you live in New York City, I know a lot of people from New York City write to us because they didn't even know they existed. You can find out where they are and everything online, so you know they exist. And yeah, the best way that none of this would happen is if everybody just went vegan. Say, do it now. Look, she's vegan. Look at what she's eating.
I'm vegan.
Thank you so much for watching.
See you.